Welcome back to NewsX. Thanks for staying with us. Now, despite the existence of a whistleblowers protection bill, the Indian government simply cannot seem to understand why keeping these whistleblowers is important to our democracy. Now, this February, Hari Prasad showed the country how electronic voting machines can be tampered with. And despite his expose, he's now been arrested by the police. What's worse is he's been charged with stealing one of the machines. On Sunday, the court remanded him to 4 days of judicial custody, and his hearing comes up on Thursday. Hari Prasad, though, says he won't back down and will continue to expose flaws with the machine. And despite Prasad's expose this year, the Election Commission still insists that the machines are tamper-proof. Now, are our electronic voting machines tamper-proof, or can political goons misuse technology to get desired results? One man, Hari Prasad, has worked with eminent American academics on electronic voting machines. These academics are from world-renowned universities, including Princeton, Stanford, MIT, and Harvard. This is a film made by Hari Prasad, and this is the film that the government does not want you to see. This is the demonstration on the 12th of July 2009 for NewsX, due to which Hari Prasad is now in jail.
Indian election authorities have repeatedly claimed that the nation's electronic voting machines are tamper-proof. But in this video, security researchers demonstrate several ways that criminals could tamper with the machines to steal votes and change the outcome of elections. These attacks would be very difficult to detect, but they are actually quite simple. Probably 1 million people in India have the necessary skills. Imagine going to the polls and being given a ballot. After filling it out, you are shown a brand new electronic voting machine that consists of a large box with a curtain. There is a man behind the curtain, and when you approach, he snatches your ballot. He then shreds it into pieces and tells you you have voted. When the polls close and counting time comes, the man behind the curtain hands over a piece of paper on which he has kept an honest count, or so he claims. Electronic voting machines are no more trustworthy than a stranger behind a curtain. India is the world's largest democracy, and for about a decade, nearly all votes have been cast on electronic voting machines, or EVMs. They consist of a control unit used by poll workers and a ballot unit inside the polling booth. There is a single race, and the ballot unit has one button for each candidate. Let's run a small election using a real EVM. When a voter arrives, poll workers press this button to allow one vote. The voter then presses the button for their candidate, and the vote is cast. Let's give each candidate 3 votes. Later, the votes are read from the EVM during a public counting session. The display shows that candidate 1 wins with 7 votes, but something is wrong. That number was supposed to be 3. Somehow, 1 vote has been stolen from each of the other candidates. Now we'll open the machine and show you how we tampered with it. Indian election officials haven't let voters see inside. The EVM contains a simple computer with a processor and memory to store votes. We made the machine cheat by tampering with the hardware. We opened the machine and replaced the real display with this dishonest look-alike version, which lies about the election results. As you can see, the 2 displays look nearly identical. We built our version in a few weeks from parts costing just a few dollars. Under the displays, we had a small chip that replaces the real results with dishonest ones, and a Bluetooth radio that lets us wirelessly signal who should win. Criminals could install a dishonest display at any time before the votes are counted, possibly years before the election. Here's a second way criminals could cheat. They could also change votes while the machines are stored between the election and the public counting session. To prove this, we built a small vote-stealing tool. It has a dial to select the winning candidate, and it clips directly to the memory chips that store the votes in the EVM. The attacker just attaches it momentarily, and it rewrites the votes. This attack leaves no traces and makes sure our favorite candidate wins. Another alarming problem is that the software that counts the votes is stored in chips that are designed so that the software cannot be read back out. This means not even the Election Commission of India, India's highest election authority, can verify that the correct software is in the EVMs. Yet the software in the chips could be dishonest, or the real chips could be replaced by dishonest lookalikes, and nobody could tell. Meanwhile, experts for the Election Commission of India seem to think that the fact that nobody can verify the software actually makes the EVMs more secure. Remember the man behind the curtain? What if that unreadable code is dishonest? Indian elections employ safeguards against fraud, but this does not prevent our attacks. One safeguard is that poll workers perform a small mock election to test the machines before voting starts. However, it would be easy to program a dishonest machine so that it cheats only after hundreds of votes are cast. Everything would seem normal during the mock election, but the real election results would be dishonest. Another safeguard is that election officials place seals on various parts of the machine. Yet these seals are easy to tamper with. Most consist of a sticker or a piece of string and some red wax. Scientists don't really know how to make seals that cannot be cheaply faked or tampered with, even in applications such as nuclear facilities. Low-tech voting machine seals are an extremely weak defense. People also point out that the order of the candidates is not determined until a few weeks before voting. This is believed to limit the amount of time an attacker has to manipulate the machines. But remember the Bluetooth radio on our dishonest display? Either at the polling stations or at the counting session, a mobile phone with a special application can be used to tell the display which candidate should win. You have witnessed attacks that can change election results on real EVMs in real scenarios. We believe this settles the debate. India's EVMs can be tampered with to steal votes. Paperless electronic voting systems are never transparent and are inherently insecure. The use of paperless EVMs has been discontinued in California, Florida, Ireland, the Netherlands, and Germany. India would be wise to follow suit. For more information, visit indiaevm.org.
Well, and there you had a look at how these machines can be tampered with. Joining me live is Mr. Prasad in my studio and Preeti Gupta live from Bombay. Thank you so much for joining me. Mr. Prasad, now we saw this. The first thing that I want to ask you is that, look, tampering of machines, this is a man, a whistleblower who's shown us what is possible, the world's largest democracy, and he's in jail.
Yes, absolutely. This is shocking because he's actually a champion for democracy and he should be honored rather than being put into jail. The Election Commission has been, in fact, harassing people and running down people who have been questioning the credentials of the electronic voting machine for a long time, and he has been made a target. But people have been working on the vulnerability of electronic voting machines right from the time of the 1989 elections, and really they came to head around 2003 when a lot of us went to the courts and tried to get a fair hearing from the Election Commission, but the Election Commission even refused to listen to us and kept insisting that the machines were tamper-proof. And they pulled out the report by Professor P.V. Indaresan, former director of IIT Delhi, who and there was just a bland couple of sentences.
Just a couple of sentences.
Yes,
without any real explanation to what was going on. Preeti Gupta, I'm going to come to you. You're at the jail where Hari Prasad is being held. What can you tell us?
See, definitely when we say that, Hari Prasad from Sunday is within the custody. But one thing good about the entire his arrest, we could only say that he's not been kept in a lockup, where other criminals are there, the pickpocketers are there, and different kind of people. He's definitely a whistleblower with more of a dignity who bought open, how the EVM machine could be tampered, and what kind of voting system what we have in India. And when we say that EVM machine, it's completely tamper-proof, it cannot be tampered, the votes cannot be manipulated. But here was a man, who showed that how can it be tampered. So now at present he is in MRMR police station where we are standing at present, and he's inside the police station talking to his lawyers, trying to find out a way when on 26th of August again when he's produced in the court, will the court give him a further custody or will he get a bail? Mohit.
Right. Okay. Mr. Prasad, I'm going to come back to you. Now, you said gentleman from IIT says it can't be tamper-proof, but you have a document with you, you can show that to our viewers, which is made by some of the most renowned experts in the world, which claim just the opposite.
Yeah, certainly. In fact, this is dated 12th August, and many of the top scientists in USA who have worked with Hari Prasad have written to the Election Commissioner, Mr. Qureshi, on 12th August, and stating that new types of attack methods have been developed in computer science after the electronic voting machines are basically a 1986 design. And they said since then the ways of attacking computers and electronic systems have progressed very fast, but the safeguards have not been built in because the electronic voting machines are from 1986 design, and they are casting serious doubts about the security, the verifiability and the transparency of the electronic voting machines. This has been signed, this letter to Qureshi has been signed by some of the top technologists in the world. Ariel Feldman of Princeton, David Dill of Stanford, Ben Adil of Harvard.
Right, there are about 20 names on this, all from some of the top institutions from around the world. Certainly a slap on the face for India's greatest democracy, well, for the world's greatest democracy, one of the world's greatest democracies, India, and certainly rather than deal with the issue, what do? They pick the man who finds the problem and put him in jail. Preeti, thank you for joining me. Prasad, thank you for joining me too. We'll take a short break here on NewsX. We'll come back. There's a lot more. Stay tuned.